Hey everyone, we are back in the Thrive Well podcast studio. I am here today with new agent, realtor partner, Sean Erni. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm so pumped to be here.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Sean.
Yeah, so I've been in the business for about a year and a half now. Was selling gym memberships before, so it kind of, I felt like, was a nice segue into real estate. Just being able to be on the phone at the gym, calling people, trying to sell memberships. I see that they're obviously engaged, whether they're maybe a little insecure or scared to go into the gym, obviously for whatever personal reasons. My goal was to reach out to them and try to help them in the best way possible to see if they can come in there and obviously see if we can help them. So was doing that before real estate, been in real estate for about a year and a half now. And yeah, I'm loving every part of it, honestly. A lot of mistakes, which is good.
Yeah.
I had a totally different perspective, actually, before getting into real estate. I thought it was nice and easy. Thought you just have to show up, show people houses, and then all of a sudden you get a nice little check in the mail. Surprisingly happy that it's not that at all. There's a lot of different tools that you need as a person, as a realtor, to really flourish in this industry. And I'm excited to be proven wrong to, I guess, the outside look that I had in of it being so easy. So
that's good. I love hearing that because that's something as a veteran in the industry, we talk about all the time. Like everybody, including our clients, think what we do most of the time is so simple, so easy that anyone can do it. Hence why FSBOs try to and whatever else happened during economic shifts.
Yep.
But I love that you came in during one of the harder years in real estate than we've had in about 7 years. And you were like, oh, okay, well, got that totally wrong. Takes a little bit more. What's the one thing you realized was like an absolute fallacy?
I guess the processes that a lot of people don't understand, and that involves keeping in contact with your client, whether you're representing a buyer or seller, keeping in contact with the other agent, being upfront, keeping in contact with your transactions team, just making sure everybody's on the same page. Because a lot of it, if you are doing a decent amount of business, a lot of it could get sidetracked just because you're not necessarily involved once you get an offer accepted. So it's more so just a longer waiting period, and you got to keep everybody up to date with, things going on behind the scenes in terms of paperwork, stuff like that. So I think one of the biggest fallacies was just not realizing all the processes that realtors need to go through. Outside
of the HGTV of like opening up beautiful homes and then the sale's done. And you're like, wow, that was easy. They chose out of the perfect 3 homes I just showed them.
Yeah, turn on Netflix, $1 million listing or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, the transaction piece is much more contract management, which is not sexy at all. It's mundane. It's a boilerplate contract most of the time. We're lucky here at Thrive. Ours are not, but most people use boilerplate contracts. They're pretty simple. They're in favor of the broker, and you just work your way through those contingency points. But there's a lot more to it than just that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So you had mentioned when you first came on board here at Thrive that there were a couple of things that aligned with you most. What are those couple of things?
Yeah, so I'm actually glad that you asked this. Just a couple words, honestly. It's just perspective and gratitude. And I think those two words kind of go hand in hand. Without perspective, you can't really have gratitude, because then how are you thankful? And without gratitude, you really can't see a perspective of how good you have it, or how blessed you may be in a scenario where maybe you're not having a good day and you're like blaming everybody, or life sucks, so on and so forth. You can get very negative. So I think these two words are very important. I think everybody should love these two words. I think just me going through what I have in my life introduced me to perspective at first, and then that really started getting me into gratitude. I'm a man of faith, and by no means do I have a great relationship with God. That's actually one of my biggest goals of this year, is to work on my relationship with Him. And so perspective and gratitude kind of tie into that, because I didn't choose this life. You didn't choose your life. You're kind of just born into a conscience, and you're born into a family. And for all we know, we could have been born into a completely different country. Somebody in a scenario that is not as blessed as maybe my parents or other people's parents. I just think perspective goes a long way in centering yourself and realizing that no matter how bad your day is, you most likely have it better than somebody else out in the world. And so with that ties in gratitude, and I'm just thankful for that. I'm thankful for my parents, the family that I was born into. I'm thankful for to have a roof over my head, clothes on my body. So, I mean, I can go on and on. I really can ramble about that stuff. But, yeah, perspective and gratitude were two words that I believe you made a point at one of the first meetings that I was at. And I was like, nobody really brings up these two words just because it may be cliche or whatever. But I do really think that when you did state those 2 points, that I was like, yeah, this is maybe a good place for me.
Nice. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times that, what you've been through in your life and the things you've experienced, which, everyone lives a unique life to them. What is it that you feel brought the first dose of perspective where you started going, okay, I'm really hitting a moment of seeing things from a different angle, and now I'm riding the coast of gratitude?
Yeah, so growing up, I always wanted to be in the NHL. I loved hockey. It was my life. It was my parents' life, obviously driving me to tournaments, games, whatever, practice, 5 a.m. wake-ups just to for my dad to rent out a sheet of ice for us to skate on. And I guess perspective kind of first came in when I realized that my dream maybe wasn't going to be happening. And that was a big wake-up call, because even in saying that, it's kind of not who I want to be, because it's not a confident statement, but it is very hard to obviously get to the NHL. So you have to be realistic with yourself at some point. And so that perspective kind of came like, okay, you're not going to be in the NHL, but can you do something else that fulfills you, maybe similar to hockey? And it took me a while. I was going through school, kind of like the norm, going through high school, graduated, going in college. Okay. Changed my degree a few times. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I ended up getting this outside perspective of real estate. Thought that it's a great thing to help out other people, no matter their stories. And I actually, just to tie in, my second real estate transaction actually kind of highlights it perfectly for me. Very emotional story, I guess. Basically, a couple moved here from Michigan, didn't have a lot, and they were really trying to get into a place, and so I was just doing whatever I could. I was still brand new, it being my second transaction, didn't really understand all the processes. So I had to reach out to people that I trusted to lean on for knowledge. And through this process, I really found the reason why I'm in real estate. And a lot of people say, like, to help people and stuff. But once you actually truly experience it, then it kind of opens up that perspective in which, wow, maybe I can do something here to fulfill me similar to what I could have been doing in the NHL. So, yes, that's kind of when the first time I got into perspective and really fell in love with that word.
Yeah. I think it's so fascinating to hear you talk about it, because I think you're the first person I've ever talked to that draws a line from hockey to real estate. And I love that, because everyone's perspective is different, and whatever hockey did for you and you felt from that, to be able to then draw a line and say, okay, that wasn't the pathway I was going to go full time all the time. I'm sure you can keep hockey in your life for the rest of it, for as long as possible. But to draw the line to real estate and then coin it, like, hey, helping people really is something that feels good. And genuinely in real estate, if you're coming from that angle, you have a massive opportunity ahead of you. A lot of people, unfortunately, get caught up in the hamster wheel of the production and the volume, and then, of course, the commission that follows that, and you get lost in the sauce. So hold on to that perspective. It will definitely bode you well for the rest of your career.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So how do you focus on keeping gratitude in the forefront of your work, your life? Obviously, you're a young professional. And so hearing you say, like, hey, perspective and gratitude is something that is really important to me, and it's what aligned me here with this company. How do you work day in and day out, especially the fact you've only been in this industry 18 months, 12 months of that, I'm sure, were the hardest real estate days we've had in a long time. How did you stay grateful?
Honestly, I stay grateful just when I wake up. I know that I'm grateful. Some people are gone in their sleep. Some people are gone first thing in the morning. Some people are gone on their way to work. There's a lot of scary real life scenarios that happen. And just to be alive, just to have all five senses, I've always tried to think, like, how different could my life be without just one of the senses, without even being able to see or hear or taste or feel. I don't even want to begin to try to think how different it would be. And so that's where gratitude comes in. Once I'm awake and I know that I'm safe, I'm alive, then immediately gratitude hits, because I know some people aren't able to wake up to see today. And it's unfortunate because as humans, we attach emotions to future plans, whether it's a vacation, a date night, whether you have plans with friends, you attach, maybe it's exciting, whether you're excited for that vacation or whatever, you attach that emotion to it. And what I think, and it's kind of a more so sad thought, is sometimes those people don't get to experience what they were looking forward to. And that just kind of brings it back to me, is just gratitude, just to be present in the moment. I'm awake, I'm alive, I have my five senses, I have a family, I have people that care for me. And so even in that, like, a lot of people are missing that stuff in their lives. And so I don't really have anything else I need to ask for. I'm just grateful to be alive. And, you know, how the day goes is really dictated by me. And so whether I want to be lazy and not really do my job, it's going to fall on me. And then I'm not really going to, you know, be pushing myself to be the person that I am, to further my gratitude and perspective, and capitalize on the opportunities I have. So really it starts just waking up every day, seeing the day. That's an instant gratitude for me, just because I know there's a lot of unfortunate scenarios that go on in this world.
Speaking of that, have you, I know you've traveled quite a bit in and out of this country and others. You've got a unique trifecta of citizenship. So have you experienced some of these traumas that brought perspective? Because I've found in youth today, younger folks than me, I would consider youthful. Not that I'm not, but if you're younger than me, there's a perspective shift that I haven't seen occurring in most of our younger adults. So what is it that's caused that for you?
Yeah, so I guess we're going to get a little personal here.
Yeah.
Growing up, so my dad being from Switzerland, my mom being from Canada, and I only lived the first 5 years of my life in Canada. So what I know is kind of like the American lifestyle or American dream, stuff like that too. And both my parents being technically foreigners, it kind of, like, growing up, I was starting to see a lot of differences between what my parents would maybe do and other parents would do. And so in terms of looking up to people, I had two older brothers, one older sister, and I really had this one brother that, not that I wanted to be him, but it was just somebody that I could look to for leadership, guidance, an idol in some sense, a bigger brother. Yep, a bigger brother. And so I was very close with him growing up, and over the course of the years, he got into some trouble. And with us being born in Canada, he was actually not allowed to come back to the U.S. And so through these experiences, it really just, it's perspective. Like, you really never know what could happen. Family, friends, like, you really never know what could happen. And so that was kind of like my first insight as to, like, wow, like the world really isn't always so warming and welcoming and kind. And so that really opened it up. And then in high school, I had another experience where I was in German class and I had a partner, and without even knowing, like, as far as I knew, he was in good condition. He was, you know, healthy. He exercised. He went to a private school, so you could tell he was serious about faith, stuff like that. And there was one day I saw him, and the next day I went to school, and we didn't have school this next day because he was gone, and he actually took his own life. So, there's a few things that have gone on that really, you don't really have a choice but to be thankful for what you're given, and just to see today, because again, you don't know if a family or a friend member, what they're going through, whether or not they're comfortable with opening up about whatever they're going through.
Yes.
You just really never know what's going to happen day to day. So not that I wanted to go through those, but I'm very thankful that I did go through the scenarios, because it almost forces you to grow up and realize, like, this is real life. You have stuff to take care of, but you are very blessed to be here, and like, you should be thankful for these things. So
Lovely.
I had a few things that opened me up to perspective.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because I can tell just from your thought process that there had to have been situations that caused you to have to grow faster and more maturely and with grace, if chosen. Sounds like thankful for your parents. They've really instilled that in you, no doubt. So I appreciate that. And it's something I think anyone listening right now knows someone or has experienced themselves. So that perspective is lovely to hear. So as a new addition to our brokerage, what have you felt thus far? You've been at 2 brokerages, right? So what have been your biggest learning experiences here at Thrive?
Yeah, so biggest learning experience at Thrive so far is just realizing you can trust people in this industry if you lean into them and you put the work in yourself. I had a very skewed perspective of real estate coming into it. I actually landed on a team, very small team at first, and I felt like it was a great stepping stone, and I still do believe that. But just once you understand the whole business side of it and the processes of it, a place like Thrive that has a transactions team, that has, 2 brokers that are very knowledgeable, very experienced in the industry, I didn't really see where else I could get this. Even from my previous team, they had similar processes. They had a good structure there, but I just felt like I couldn't really lean into them like I can here and involve myself. So just being at Thrive, seeing all the different personalities, the culture overall, it's really drawn me in, and it makes me want to lean in more.
I love that. I think that's the beauty of culture. Culture in our industry is talked about so often because of the team aspect. We always say all the time, real estate is a lifestyle sport. It's a team sport because of the requirement around time and understanding. And, we're not a 9-to-5 banker where, we work in those parameters. We have to work with the general public that have jobs. And so that means our work with them sometimes is in the after hours or on the weekends. And, culture is something that I believe wholeheartedly is active, and it requires a selfless, led leader that wants to activate the best in all. And I think that's what you experience here throughout our whole team that puts that together. That comes from the entire special ops, the entire Thrive Well program. So I appreciate that was recognized and felt.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Sean, when you look at your ability to serve the general public, the buyers, sellers, and investors out there, what do you feel gives your clients more of an advantage in the leverage you receive with your company?
Yeah, so being here at Thrive, it really allows me to just come with a full force of a team, really. I have a full supporting cast behind me. A transactions team that helps me throughout the process. I have a marketing team that helps me, specialize my marketing in maybe a unique way that you wouldn't see with a lot of other realtors. And I can really just lean on these people that I have supporting behind me in order to provide a great service for these buyers or sellers that they maybe wouldn't get with a solo realtor. So I'm very thankful to be here. The supporting cast, it just is truly awesome to lean into.
That's amazing. Amazing. This is the Thrive Well podcast. And so we have to always ask people, what does it mean to thrive well to you?
So to thrive well, I really think it's leaning into yourself and those around you. One thing that I think is very key to thriving well is prioritizing your fitness and your health. I think those things can kind of connect into a lot of other areas in your life that can really push you forward and allow you to become, the best version of yourself possible. Fitness can kind of clear your mental, whether you're having a bad day or not. It obviously helps out your physical appearance, which could also lead into your mental as well. And I just think it does a lot of wonders for people. So being able to be, fit, care about your health, I think it could do a lot of people justice for themselves and the people around them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think what you're talking about is discipline there too. And if I'm as I am. I'm a buyer consumer out there for many products and services. And whenever I'm dealing with people, it is something I look at when I look at the service that they could offer me is where do the discipline to show up and see things through show up in that person's life over and over again. And if there's a lack thereof, I'm curious as to why, and could that affect the service they're giving me and what they're willing to do for what I want to achieve with their help. So I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. Thank you.
So, Sean, we've talked a lot about things that buyers and sellers should look for in their realtor partner and why working with you is a steadfast way to go for winning, as well as some tips for agents. How can these people get in contact with you?
You can contact me on social media. A great way to find me is Instagram. My handle is @SeanErni. It's the correct way to spell Sean, SeanErni. And I actually will have a Linktree link in my bio and Instagram where you can find other social media platforms that I am also on.
Perfect. The right way to spell Sean. I love that.
Absolutely.